Once again, thank you for coming to Ask Chuck webcast each week when we're in session. Now remember, next week we're going to be in recess, and I'll be holding some town meetings in Iowa during that week-long recess. And then on July the 12th, we come back for 4 or 5 weeks of session before our summer break in August. Then, of course, we come back in September. I appreciate very much your participating through Twitter, Facebook, or email, the questions that you send to me. And I'll be glad to take a couple of the questions that have been sent in this week so far. We have Walter and Bernice from Johnston email this question. We should be using our own clean energy such as wind, natural gas, and also coal instead of relying on foreign nations for oil. How do you feel about this matter? I agree with you 100%. My way of saying it would be basically we have 3 elements to an energy program. We've got to continue to use fossil fuels while we're developing the second leg, alternative energies, being the father of the wind energy tax credit. Obviously, you know, I'm very much a promoter of wind energy and biofuels. And number 3, we all need to conserve all we can. In fact, we have some government tax credits that encourage conservation. So I think you need all 3 of those to have a sound energy program. But I agree with you 100%. We ought to be relying upon our own sources of energy instead of importing that energy. The next question comes from Facebook. Tyson from Waukee asks, what is your stance on the Arizona immigration law? Would you support a similar law in Iowa? When the federal government has a responsibility to protect our borders and give us border security, and they aren't doing their job, I think under the 10th Amendment and the police powers of the state has a responsibility to do it if the federal government's not going to do it. So from that standpoint, you know, based upon the judgment of the legislature of Arizona, and where people were murdered before they passed their law, I believe that I have to accept the judgment of Arizona to do that. But without a doubt, I feel that they have a responsibility to do it if the federal government wasn't doing it, but it'd still be better if the federal government would secure our borders. That is a federal government responsibility. That's the basis of sovereignty. Now, should Iowa do it? I would defer to the judgment of the Iowa legislature. But if we had the same threats in Iowa as they have in Arizona right now, I would expect that the Iowa legislature would do whatever it took to protect the people of Iowa, because if the federal government doesn't do it, that is the responsibility of the states under the 10th Amendment and the police powers of the federal government. Next week, I told you we're in session, but the rest this week, I'm going to be pretty busy most of the week in the nomination of Elena Kagan to be Supreme Court Justice. Sometimes this will be carried on C-SPAN. You might watch for my questioning, or you might find a rerun of the questioning if you're one of those that stays up overnight. So that's going to take up a lot of time. On the floor, we're going to have judicial nominations. We're going to be dealing with the small business tax bill and paying tribute to Senator Byrd, who passed away this week. The giant of the Senate he is, and we're going to miss him very much. He's not a person that I agreed with politically very often, but he was a devout public servant and devoted very much to the Senate of the United States as the most deliberative body in the world. Look forward 2 weeks to your participating in Ask Chuck, and maybe you can follow me next week at my town meetings in Iowa.